Alrighty, we are back. Your favorite podcast show of the week. This is Location Weekly. It's episode number 523, and we're recording live on June 29th. It is, it's almost July already. I can't believe it. Like we're like into the heart of summer here. It's been hot here. In Toronto and the west coast of Canada has been crazy, breaking records, and I know west coast of the U.S. Has been out of control. So there's like definitely a lot of heat going around, and we're not even in July yet. Huh? What's going on with you, Abriana?
Yeah, we're definitely feeling the heat here in Pennsylvania too. Lots of, I guess there's like a heat wave going through. So it's been like 99 and humid. And, we even did my kids wanted to do a lemonade stand this weekend. So we did that. We were like sweltering, but, gotta like encourage the entrepreneurship
Like you brought a
of
little
my
bit of Atlanta weather up north.
I think I'm like bringing it everywhere. It seems like, but that's all right. It's been sunny, and so that's better than not.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing good. Like I just was sharing, we finally found a house in New York, and we're just gearing up to move in, and excited for the next like to be settled, somewhere really settled. But yeah, things are good. I'm glad it's summer. It's been like a little bit more relaxing than but no, nonetheless super busy. How about you?
Yeah, things are starting to open. We're moving to phase two in Ontario of our reopening plan tomorrow, which means I can finally get a haircut. It's been like forever. So that's good. I'm excited about that because this is out of control. I got my second vaccine on Sunday and was recovering yesterday. Feel way better today. So I'm fully vaxxed now, and that's exciting. And yeah, I think things are kind of moving, seem to be moving in the right direction. So nothing too much to complain about. You know, my Blue Jays are doing their thing. They're trying to work their way back into the playoff picture. So we'll take that. So yeah,
All good.
all good. So we have four stories as usual that we'll cover off this week. Ariana will start us off as she always does with an interesting one. So over to you.
Yeah, so this is a smaller company. We kind of had to do some digging. It's called Bridge, Brij, mostly out of New York. So two founders, a small team. It's Kate Stevens and Zach Morrison. Yes, like Saved by the Bell, Zach Morrison. Hopefully he has a newer phone. But anyways, so they have created this platform, I think about 2 years ago, launched this company called Bridge, and it works to connect physical products to a digital experience. So really the problem that this company is solving is saying, hey, a lot of brands that sell via third-party platforms don't get the benefit of collecting the consumer data. So you maybe go through Shopify or you go on Amazon, for example, right? And you sell something, you're not capturing that consumer data. And so, there's a little bit of a gap in terms of how you can continue to follow up and have that conversation and provide value with your consumers. So this platform, in essence, is like it's powering one-touch product registration and reordering. So basically, this platform, it allows brands to create a tailored experience for their consumers, for their products, can be accessed via QR code. So it is QR based. So basically, a customer can just scan and, pull up the information, and it will allow them to have like this, direct conversation with consumers so they can ask questions about the products. They can obviously register information. They could reorder it directly through the brand, and solving those pain points for some of those brands that are going again via third party. So they're directly integrated with Shopify. I know they noted, and it's just like a new channel for some smaller companies that maybe don't have the presence of larger ones or the retail space of other brands to continue that conversation. So what I like about this is not necessarily that it's QR codes. I don't think that there's anything like new technology wise, but I like that they started with a pain point that they're solving, and it makes a lot of sense. So, I've got like my little soap company and I'm putting my soap out on Amazon, or I put it on Etsy, or I put it on Shopify, or whatever it is, that that consumer information sometimes is hard to get captured and to store in one place and to have, ongoing, maybe, questions that in dialogue with your brand, your brand consumers, and saying like, how can we be better? How can we reach? How can we grow? What else, do you want from us as a brand? What can we provide? So I like that they're thinking about solving this challenge that exists. It's not something that I really knew was a problem, but again, I'm not, selling, I'm really not selling soaps. So I think that this is, it's good. I think it's a brand to watch maybe and see how they grow. From a team of 11 to something larger, or being integrated with other platforms like Shopify, right?
Yeah, I think the problem that they're trying to address, I think, is a really important one. I think it's been a challenge for a long time, of sort of the brand not being able to build that relationship directly with the end consumer, relying on that sort of middleman, retailer, distributor, whatever, to kind of have that channel. And this applies to just sort of luxury goods to in the old days, even guys like Coca-Cola had this struggle because their product was sold through the restaurant or the grocery store or what have you, and they didn't have that opportunity. And I think mobile has certainly created that opportunity to sort of level the playing field and create that direct access in some ways. I think this idea of using a QR code or a tag of some sort to have a one-touch product registration or warranty registration or things like that, I think is a good one. I mean, we've all bought things. I just bought a new refrigerator the other day because mine went down, and I had to, go and register it and do all that with the manufacturer. So I think, in the one hand, I think that is a direct relationship with the manufacturer for the warranty and so on and so forth. But the process of that and making it simple, I think, is something that's important. I think the challenge that companies like this will face is there are a lot of players right now that are going after, tagging products, right? And there's a lot of, sort of global standards emerging around this right now. Different consortiums, different industry associations, are working on this at a number of different levels right now. You have sort of the GS1 initiative and others sort of all playing around with different ways to evolve, what was a UPC or barcode, sort of type of relationship into other types of codes, whether that's NFC or QR or what have you. And I think at the end of the day, it becomes about sort of how do you get distribution of these codes, affixed to the products. And if you can achieve scale there, then I think you have, opportunity. But I think for a lot of the SMB market out there in terms of brands, that local soap company or whatever you mentioned, I think this is a really good fit for that. Interesting to see how it evolves. So, watch for Burge, or Bridge, I guess. I want to say Burge, but it's not. It's Bridge.
I don't think it's Bridge.
Brij.
Bridge.
Brij.
Yeah, it's bridge.it.
Bridge.it. There you go. All right, on to our second story, coming sort of more into sort of the core world of location data. A company called Spatial Tech, which is TEQ at the end, all one word, has released a new case study with one of their customers, which is Amada Senior Care. So this is a company that owns a series of seniors and homes, nursing homes, and things like that across the U.S. And it's an interesting one that I wanted to kind of pull out this week because we talk a lot on this show about using location data, location analytics, for real estate site selection and sort of visitor traffic metrics and all sorts of different things. But we tend to focus a lot of that discussion on the retail sector or restaurant industry or even tourism or things like that. And so it's interesting when I saw this case study, sort of looking at the healthcare sector, I thought, okay, this is an interesting use case. And so here you have a for-profit organization in Amada that's running these homes and so on, and they've teamed up with this company Spatial Tech and their product Map Business Online to really sort of understand where their customers are coming from, what the demand side might look like, territory maps that can define business opportunities on where to sort of acquire other homes or build new homes or things like that to serve underserved markets or populations. So I think that is a really interesting use case. And it's not that different when you think about sort of the normal commercial real estate or retail real estate. Where should I open the next, Wendy's or Burger King or what have you, but just apply to a different vertical that we don't talk about a lot. And I think they also use the technology for monitoring field staff or sharing patient statuses and things like that as well. So I think those kinds of things are interesting. And if you can tie in sensors and beacon technology and other things, obviously one of the areas that we've done a lot of work in over the years is in this particular sector is around the issue of older folks in some of these homes tend to wander sort of out of the home and sometimes get lost and things like that, and having location technology to be able to know where your loved one is as the say the child that's at home whose parent has gone wandering off or what have you, that you care about and you want to sort of stay on top of. Not that different than how we track our teenagers, with location tech. As you get older, you need to track where your parents are. So I think there's a lot of applications for location technology and data analytics in the sort of healthcare and seniors home industry overall.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It reminded me of I think it was like GBX with the shoe soles and being able to track, patients with Alzheimer's or dementia, perhaps that still want to have some level of autonomy and be able to hike or walk on their own. And I think that that's really, that is a need. And like you said, like you kicked off the story, we like to talk about using location data for good. And being able to track things, for the benefit versus the creep factor. Very good. So next story, this kind of made me, I was actually just looking back to see how recent in our podcast we had covered something similar to this, but Verizon has acquired a company called Senior, or Cinyan, actually, sorry. Cinyan, not Senior. And Cinyan is a leader in location responsive solutions. So they have a positioning platform. They are talking about how they have advanced machine learning, sensor fusion technology that delivers sub-meter accuracy for precise positioning and navigation of indoor spaces. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was about, let's see, we did this on episode 512. So not that long ago that we were announcing Verizon's hyper precise location service that they were rolling out, talking about how they'll be able to use this for, in conjunction with their 5G technology to make sure that they could really precisely hyperlocate things, whether that be, the movement of, autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars, things of that nature, or inside of warehouses, shipping, anything that would need to have precise location, perhaps machinery or, different services that are within a hospital, being able to track those types of things and precisely locate them very quickly. So this, again, is just, I think, very telling that they are very, very highly focused in precise geolocation. It also makes me think there's a data play here. And how can they capture more and more data? What are ways that they can continue to capture location data as third-party data providers kind of fall off? So really, Cinyan is looking at indoor wayfinding, geofencing, all of these different precision offerings, managing spaces. So I think that, they've joined the team within the Verizon team as well. So that's staying on. And they have more than 300 indoor positioning system installations currently already globally. So they've worked with shopping malls, hospitals, corporate campuses, improving workflows, and they are headquartered in Sweden and San Francisco. So I think that, again, this is a kind of a natural progression. I think we're going to see more consolidation in this space. Obviously, Verizon is very specifically looking for more positioning systems than perhaps just data providers. So this is probably kind of checking both of those boxes, in my opinion. But again, the way of the future, things that move on their own, whether that's for delivery purposes, for tracking purposes, for data purposes, all of those different things come into play. But I think that it's interesting to see the different, what are the different methods that these companies are kind of going about and how they're sort of trying to insulate themselves from the technology changes that are happening, and then like what's going to happen for the future. So good stuff.
Yeah, I'm. I echo a lot of what you said. I think this, speaks to the consolidation that's going on in our industry right now. I have to say, I was initially, when I first saw the story, surprised. Not that Senyan was being acquired, because they're an extremely solid company, very well positioned company, but that they were being acquired by Verizon. So, Senyan's a company that we've, worked a bit with in Europe. You mentioned they're based in Sweden, so they've been involved and attended some of our events, at our chapter in Stockholm and things like that, over the years. So first of all, congrats to Christian Lundquist and the team over there. Really happy for you guys. This is a good move. So yeah, my surprise was, that it was Verizon that was, sort of making this acquisition, not in terms of, I think there's an absolute great fit from a technology point of view, but just that a sort of U.S. powerhouse, mobile operator was kind of teaming up with a primarily European, tech player in the space. So that to me was just interesting. But I think they bring a really unique set of technology. Their vision is really about, not just beacons or things like that from an indoor positioning point of view, but really about sensor fusion and kind of bringing different sensor-based positioning technologies together into one data set and things like that to get very accurate in terms of what you can do. So I think that's really important. No matter whether you're Verizon or you're a brand or whoever you are, I think we're all trying to get to that right now. And I think the other thing too that I've talked a little bit about, as we've talked a ton about the sort of privacy changes and IDFA, and Apple and all that sort of cookies going away. I think the reliance on sensor data, really goes up and becomes even more valuable. So, and I think sort of operator-based data with, sort of sensor-based data, is a very, very powerful replacement for some of that sort of lost SDK-based, mobile data, right? So, I'm excited about this. I think it's a really solid technology acquisition for Verizon. And I can see it playing into a number of industries, and it really strengthens their portfolio, I think, in the sort of commercial offerings that they have to businesses out there in office buildings and things like that. So excited to see how it rolls out and kind of how they start to price solutions in the marketplace.
For sure.
All right, final story that we wanted to touch on here is. Another interesting one, a German-based company that we've worked with over the years called Beacons Mind has announced a partnership with Roberto Cavalli. So if you're up on your fashion houses and all of that, Roberto Cavalli is one of those haute couture fashion houses. And so they are working with Roberto Cavalli, and they are sort of using their technology, which to sort of power, if you will, location-based experiences in their stores. So this is a brand that's been around for a long time. It's still quite a popular high-end fashion brand. And so what they're sort of aiming for here is to really work with the Beacons Mind platform, which involves indoor positioning technologies and sensors, microlocation type of devices, and really want to sort of use that to power sort of in-store experiences, whether that's straight up experiential marketing type things to location-based messaging on your mobile devices. to whatever other kinds of interactions they can do. And I think part of that too is looking for tying that into loyalty platforms, into purchase history, and other things, and seeing, things like do people who go to one Roberto Cavalli store go to other Roberto Cavalli stores and things like that, and kind of looking at that sort of those linkages that you can look at with location data. So, these guys, again, Beacon's Mind's been around for quite a while, sort of operate, sort of within that sort of Swiss German market as sort of its headquarters, and then has, customers throughout Europe, as well. So, an interesting partnership. We don't hear a lot of high-end fashion brands teaming up with location tech companies like this. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I actually think that it's been like a trend. I think this is the third fashion house that we've talked about that is integrating some type of location or smart sensors, or, you know, we've seen some of the pop-up stores that have been doing it, as well as, I believe it was either Dolce and Gabbana or Gucci perhaps that did, this whole like integrated store experience. So I think it's certainly a trend maybe that's kind of, it's catching on, obviously, creating these experiential environments, being able to track more things in store, provide more information to the consumer at that point in time without having to rely on educated staff, or, staff being around at all. So I think that this is starting to, like, I don't know that, the efficacy of this is actually driving lots of, additional business for these brands, because typically, it's like a luxury item. People want to have it, and they can just afford to buy it, or it's something that they've kind of saved for and they're going to buy it regardless of the experience in the store. But I do think that it's just something that, I don't know, it's giving them a new angle, more press. I don't know. And perhaps maybe there's like some digital assets that they're considering for the future, now that there's more of this, this world is like changing a lot with how we're buying and selling, in the different currencies that we're using that are digital. So there's probably like an art play there as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, from a technology standpoint, or what's exciting or what's not, and what's driving business and use case and solving a problem, not sure that there is really a whole lot there. But I don't know. I like that fashion is expanding into technology. I think that's fun. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I a lot of these, you mentioned this sort of Dolce and Gabbana thing, and I think like we see it more sort of in these kind of pop-up experiences, these one-off experiences, right? Where they sort of try to create something really cool, really over the top, and kind of embrace technology, whether that's, AR or VR or location tech, sort of mashed together to do something really interesting and cool. You don't tend to see it as something that's sort of rolled out, at scale across all, like, their entire store network or things like that. So I like that they're doing that. I like that they're sort of saying, hey, we're interested in seeing, sort of the intersection of, the movements of our customers and kind of what's going on, and tailoring experiences to them as they move about. So yeah, an interesting one to watch. So check it out if you're over in Europe there, Roberto Cavalli and Beacon's Mind AG. So that's it. That's our show for this week. 4 stories. You've been listening to and watching episode number 523 of Location Weekly. We thank you, as always, for your time. And of course, we'll be back next week with another show for you. And, if you're here in North America, and if you're in Canada, happy Canada Day later this week. If you're in the US of A, happy July 4th, as well. And whatever you're celebrating anywhere else in the world, have a great celebration. Enjoy it. Hopefully you can go out and, sort of enjoy that in a as COVID-free way as possible, and stay safe.